Hello and welcome to my stamping room. Today we're going to be making a flip book mini album. To make this album you're going to need 2 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock in the same color. We want to cut our first sheet. We want a piece that measures 6 inches by 12 inches. So here's my 6 by 12 inch piece. Now I am going to cut this next sheet at 5 3/4 by 12 inches. With my second sheet of cardstock, I'm going to cut 2 more pieces that are 5 3/4 by 12 inches. Okay, so I end up with 3 pieces that are 5 3/4 by 12 inches and 1 piece that is 6 inches by 12 inches. So now we are going to cut, let's see, 4 5.5-inch square pieces from a coordinating color, and I've chose this is Riding Hood red cardstock. Now the reason I'm getting my colors from an old Stampin' Up scrap kit called Summer Home, and so I'm using cardstock from there. So I need 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to take my 6-inch by 12-inch piece of cardstock and I'm going to score it at 2 3/4 inches from the end and then at 3 inches from the end. I'm going to flip it and I'm going to do the same thing. 2 3/4 inches from this end and 3 inches from this end. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold on these score lines, and this is going to end up being the cover of my book. Okay, so now we're going to set this aside, and now I'm going to show you how we are going to do the inside of the book. Okay, I have my 3 pieces of coordinating or cardstock that measures 5 3/4 inches by 12 inches. And I'm going to take and I'm going to score each of these 3 inches from each end. So I'm going to do this to all 3 pieces. Okay, I'm back. Now I have 3 pieces that I have scored 3 inches from each end, and I've folded them on the score line. Then on one piece I've folded in the ends and I've put score pal tape. And I'm just going to remove this score pal tape. And I am going to, hopefully you can see this. There. I have attached, these 2 are now together. Now this one I'm going to attach to our last piece over here. Okay. Okay, so now I have one sort of connected piece of paper, and I'll be back with our next step. Okay, on our middle section here, I forgot to start taping, but I put score tape all around the back of this section. So I'm going to remove this last piece of score tape. Now, I'm going to fold, hopefully you can see what, I'm going to fold these other two flaps in so that I end up with this back piece that has my tape on it. I want to keep the other flaps out of the way. Now here's my front cover. Let's see, I'm trying to, okay. Here's my front cover. So I have my tape all over on this back section. I need to place it in my book so that it's in this middle section. Okay, so now these fold in, and then there's our front cover. Now, the front cover's not quite finished. We've got to run some ribbon through there, and I've got to make the front panels. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm back. I've used my lines on my my grid paper to help me get my score pal tape on fairly straight. I'm going to remove my tape, and I'm going to lay my ribbon. Now, this side, my left side, is going to have less ribbon than my right, because my right has got to go across the front of the book. It's got to travel across. See, it's got to go. Oops, actually, I did not need tape there. So it goes across here. So, it's like this, and that's okay that I have the score tape here because I'm going to be using it for my front cover. I will be back in a second. Okay, actually, I've rolled off that extra score tape because I don't want it there, even though I will have adhesive over that spot later. It's going to be later, and I don't want to have that stick into everything. So I ended up, thankfully, being able to roll it off. But when you do yours, go from this side and then stop right there with your adhesive. Okay. So your left side here is going to have the ribbon adhered. So I will be back in a second. Okay, I'm back, and I have completed one of my 4.5 by 4.5 papers that I decorated the front, and this is going to be my front cover. So that's going to go here. Oops, I'm sorry. It's going to be this way. And so what I need to do is I need to glue this. Now this is what I've done is I just used elements from the Simply Scrap kit, and then I had a hodgepodge chipboard letters, and they were plain chipboard. I covered them with craft ink, and then I put them in thick embossing powder. And it, when I heat embossed it, it did not go nice. It went shiny, but it didn't go smooth. It's all rough and bumpy. If you wanted smooth, then you could just use clear embossing powder. But anyway, so I need to glue this just on to this front panel here, just this little panel. So I'm going to run some of my adhesive . Oops. Okay. Okay. So now put this on, and there then is, okay, I'm back. Now here's our front flap, our front cover. Now this is the other part of the back cover. This is our base here where there's the score lines that we did, and there's this small flap. Now what I'm going to do is I have two more. These are the other two 5.5 by 5.5 inch square pieces of cardstock that I've put designer paper on, and I'm just going to adhere these onto this. I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the front, which is run strips of adhesive, this to go here, the red. Let's see. Okay, here's my red. Now I'm just going to do the same thing like I did before, and I'm going to put adhesive on here, and then I'm going to match these two pieces up, and there's that. Now I'm just going to cut a designer paper to fit the insides of the rest of the book, and I'll be back to show you what the finished book looks like. Okay, I have finished my album, and you can see that ideally I would have left some more ribbon, longer ribbon on this side, but I'm going to go ahead and just sort of even that up, but I probably would have liked longer ties there. So when you do your ribbon, make sure that you leave plenty extra. I'd say a good more than 12 inches on each side. But here's my finished book. I'm just going to show you the pages. Now I'll probably add more embellishments when I put my photos in here. But for each of these large square sections, I glued on a piece of cardstock that measured 5.5 inches, and my designer paper is 5.25 inch square. And for each side panel, these measured 2.75 inches by 5.5 inches. So, and then you can just sort of see that this, I really probably need to zoom out, and if you can see, this just continuously flips until we get to the back. And I could do something on the back here too, like a mat with our family picture. So, but this is just real basic. I didn't want to do too many embellishments until I really had my pictures put in. So anyway, here, this is what a flip album looks like. And hopefully I've given you clear enough instructions so that you can go and make a flip album of your own. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in my craft room next time. Bye!